Holiness Dalai Lama represents the most eloquent testimony and representation of the ancient Buddhist tradition. Compassion, love, and a continuous search for peace and tranquility, happiness and joy everywhere. And the idea that peace and spirituality constitute the ultimate answer for all the conflicts in this world. And in that respect, the Dalai Lama's, His Holiness Dalai Lama's contribution cannot be even verbally expounded. It's beyond words. I take this opportunity at the very beginning to pay my tributes by namaskar to His Holiness the Great Dalai Lama, as he is coming to his 91st anniversary of his birthday. And then I also want to congratulate the organizers who actually organized this event. They are all reminding all of us that there is a great man living out there in Dharmashala, in India, who is a representative of the great ancient Gautama Buddha, who wants to establish peace and tranquility and happiness in this world. I was struck by one unique message that I found in his writings. This harmony of science and technology.
सिख धर्म एक ऐसा धर्म है जो सब धर्मों का सत्कार करता है। जो हमारे गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब है उनमें हर धर्म की वाणी लिखी हुई है। सो सिख धर्म हर धर्म का सत्कार करता है, हर धर्म की हेल्प करने के लिए आगे रहता है। किसी भी धर्म को कभी भी कोई जरूरत हो, सिख धर्म हर वक्त आगे आता है। मैं आप सबको श्री दलाई लामा जी के जन्मदिन की बधाई देता हूं और कामना करता हूं वो शीघ्र ही ठीक हो जाएंगे और स्वस्थ होकर फिर हमारे बीच उपदेश देंगे, हम लोगों के साथ होंगे। मित्र ही कहता हूं, मैं अपने शब्दों का संकोच करता हूं। Have a nice day for everyone. Have a nice day for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
He spent a lifetime reminding us that peace is not simply an absence of violence, but the presence of compassion. As I reflected on what I wanted to share today, I found myself thinking about what peace really means, not as an abstract idea, but as something that is lived or denied every day. Last night, as I tried to sleep and soothe my dog through the endless fireworks set off in my neighborhood, I remembered an image I had seen earlier in the day of a young child in Gaza. After enduring years of relentless bombing, she no longer cries when she hears explosions. Instead, she instinctively squeezes her little body between her bed and the wall, covering her ears in an attempt to block out the sound. While my dog and I eventually fell asleep, I realized that many of us would describe our lives as peaceful and secure. Yet I could not stop thinking about that little girl and about the children and people of Gaza, Palestine, Tibet, and so many other places around the world whose lives are shaped by fear rather than safety. It led me to reflect on what peace really is. In Hebrew, the word for peace is shalom, which also means wholeness or completeness. So I have come to believe that when one person's peace is at the expense of another's, we actually don't have peace. What we have is power. In Judaism, peace is not merely a state of mind or a prayer or a wish. It is a verb. It is a call to action. We are commanded to participate in bringing peace into being. If shalom means wholeness, then peace cannot belong to some while being denied to others. Peace is only whole when every person's humanity is honored, regardless of where they live or their race, religion, gender, or socioeconomic status. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel taught that prayer is meaningless unless it is subversive, unless it seeks to overthrow and ruin the pyramids of callousness, hatred, opportunism, falsehoods. A liturgical movement, he says, must become a revolutionary movement, seeking to overthrow the forces that destroy the promise, the hope, the vision. It is all too easy to become lured by the idols of our day and grow complacent, even numb, in the face of suffering. The pain of our world can be overwhelming. Yet Rabbi Heschel reminds us that prayer is meant to awaken within us the courage to act. The divine seeks our partnership in healing, repair, and transformation of our world. I believe this is something His Holiness the Dalai Lama has embodied throughout his life. His example teaches us that cultivating compassion within ourselves is inseparable from acting with compassion in the world. Inner peace and the work of justice are not competing paths. They sustain one another. So today, as we honor the Dalai Lama, I invite each of us not only to seek peace in our hearts, but to take one action this week to help bring about peace in our world. For some, that may mean reaching out to someone who is suffering. For others, it may mean contacting elected officials, supporting humanitarian efforts, or joining a movement for justice. For those of us in the Bay Area, one opportunity is to join the Oakland Arms Embargo campaign, calling for the end of shipment from aids from the Port of Oakland to Israel, and to support all movements for freedom for Tibet. I would like to close with this blessing. Divine Source, grant us the strength and courage not only to pray for peace, and not only to cultivate peace within ourselves, but to join together across spiritual traditions as a movement that overcomes the forces that destroy the promise, the hope, and the vision of peace. May we become partners in healing our broken world so that every child, every family, and every community may know the wholeness of true peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Thank you to President Tashi, Council Member Sohaila for inviting me on this great celebration. The verse which I recited from the Quran, God is talking about why He made us so different, right? God says, "O people, we built you into categories and tribes from different backgrounds, races, religions, ethnicities, so that you get to know one another," right? God didn't cause from the same cloth. God said He made us different so that we get to know who we are, right? I understand your culture, you understand mine. And then He said something very profound. He said the most noble of you in God's eyes is the most God-fearing. The one who fears God the most is the most noble. Not your millionaires, not your billionaires, not those with influence, but the one who has God in mind at all times. The third caliph, Omar, he inquired from one of the companions of the Prophet, and he said, "What does it mean to fear God?" And the response was, "Oh Omar, have you ever walked a thorny path? You know, you could imagine there's prickly shrubs on either side. How would you walk that path?" He said, "I'd fold my garment in and ensure I don't get pricked." And it was said, that is what it means to fear God. Right? You make sure you don't get pricked. Anything that will take you away from the remembrance of God, anything that will derail you from God, that will be the opposite of God-fearing. In the same way, you're so careful to ensure you don't get a thorn pricked into your body or your cloth. The same way you are conscious of the commandments of God, and that includes ensuring peace and safety. As I greeted you, Assalamu alaikum, and as the rabbi said, Shalom, it comes from the same word, it means peace. And the Prophet Muhammad said that you are not a true believer unless you can ensure the safety and peace of others. Likewise, in Arabic, another word is mu'min, believer, and that also means safety. So peace and safety is a core aspect of a Muslim's life. And I know President Tashi said that a free Tibet is irrelevant in today's celebration, but it's not, right? When else will you have others from other leaders from other faiths come in solidarity and unity to speak up against oppression? And I just conclude with the remembrance of the Prophet Muhammad and his statement, al-mu'min man al-muslimu man salim al-muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi. Right? It is from the core tenets of Islam that others are safe from violence, from not just physical, but also verbal as well. And so we stand in solidarity and in unity of the oppression that's going in Tibet and the oppression that's going on in the world. And I conclude in the name of God. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you so much, Imam Mohammed. And next we have Leonor Godinez from the Christian community.
To my Mexican heritage, but more importantly, acknowledging that she's the one that gave me my faith. I'm a lector and a member of the Guadalupanas ministry, honoring the Virgen de Guadalupe at St. Anthony's Mary Helper Christians Parish in Oakland. I am also a member of the social justice ministry with Faith in Action East Bay at St. Anthony's Church. I was one of 9 children born of immigrant parents. I mentioned my immigrant parents because we're currently experiencing in our society turning its back on some of the fundamental values that founded this country and turning its back on the basic principles of my faith and the basic principles of many faiths. The Bible tells us that we were made in the image and likeness of God, that we reflect God's nature, and as such should be treated with love, dignity, and respect. But the problems that immigrants are experiencing are not obviously unique to the United States. They are happening all over the world. As a Catholic Christian, I believe Jesus came to earth to die for us and to show us, more importantly, how to live with one another, how to love one another. Jesus told us that there are 2 most important commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. God is love, and he who abides in love abides in God, and God in him. It's not difficult to love. You just need to decide to do it. We just need to decide to do it. Oftentimes we have people who have wronged us, and it's hard to forgive them. Simon Peter asked Jesus how many times he should forgive his brother. He said, should I forgive him 7 times? And Jesus answered, no, you need to forgive him 70 times 7 times. That wasn't a number. It was just the indication that you should forgive them an infinite number of times. The number of times to forgive is unlimited. There's a Bible story of the Good Samaritan. He was a social outsider who acted with compassion when he encountered an injured man on the road, and he helped him. His love and compassion was contrasted by the indifference shown by the priest and the Levite in this story. My faith asks me, which one of these individuals am I? How would I behave in such a situation? The work I do currently gives me the opportunity to be in direct support of my community with concrete contribution. But the gratitude expressed by the recipients is not for the contribution given, but for the love and compassion they experience when someone stands with them. There was a song, I think it was in the 70s or 80s, it was called One of Us. What if God were one of us? Just a slob like one of us. What if God were on the bus, trying to make his way home? Would we recognize him sitting next to us on the bus and how would we treat him? For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? Dios los bendiga. May God bless you.
President-elect to you all. My name is Tupin Donyo from Kyoto Foundation. Today I was asked to represent the Bay Area Buddhist community to say a few words for this special occasion of His Holiness' 91st birthday celebration. From the Buddhist perspective, true peace begins with the cultivating compassion within our own hearts. As His Holiness the Dalai Lama has often reminded us, all the world's major religions share our common purpose of fostering kindness and service to community. Although our spiritual path may be different, our destination is the same: a more compassionate, peaceful, and harmonious world. Today, as we come together in celebration, may we be inspired by His Holiness' lifelong example of wisdom, humanity, forgiveness, and unwavering compassion. May this gathering strengthen our friendship and deepen our shared commitment to the well-being of all living beings. Now, I would like to conclude with the two traditional Tibetan prayers. Yoi chanchu sencho rembo che ma ke panam ke yoshi ke ba nyam ba me ba ya kone kondo pe wa sho kan re ra ve kor ve shen kan so pen tan de wa ma lu chung ve che re se wa tin zin ja so yi shan be se de par do ten ju. May the Supreme Jewel Bodhicitta that has not arisen, arise and grow, and may that which has arisen and not diminished, but increase forevermore. In the land encircled by snowy mountains, you are the source of all happiness and benefit. O compassionate one, Tenzin Gyatso, Avalokiteshvara in human form, please remain until the cyclic existence is ended. Thank you.
Now, I ask all the representatives to sign this joint declaration, and I would urge Rabbi Kat to read this out to the community here. So each one of you sign this.
Proclamation, Interfaith Gathering. Today on July 5th, gathered in a spirit of friendship, mutual respect, and shared humanity, we join together to celebrate the 91st birthday of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and to honor his lifelong commitment to promoting universal human values. Though our faiths differ in doctrine, history, and practice, we are united by a common conviction that every human being possesses inherent dignity and the right to justice, peace, and security. Love, compassion, forgiveness, justice, humility, and service to others are not the property of any one religion. They are the shared moral heritage of humanity. At a time when our world is confronted by violence, hatred, war, polarization, environmental degradation, and growing indifference to human suffering, we reaffirm that dialogue is stronger than division, Compassion is stronger than hatred, and hope is stronger than fear. At the same time, we recognize the power imbalances that exist in societies and the world, and that to overcome division, hatred, and fear, spiritual communities have a role to play in naming and challenging those imbalances. Inspired by His Holiness the Dalai Lama's principal commitments, the promotion of universal human values, we jointly declare that we will foster friendship and understanding among people of all faiths, cultures, and backgrounds. That we reject hatred, discrimination, violence, and intolerance in all their forms. That we will encourage our communities to practice compassion not only in words, but through acts of kindness, service, and solidarity with those who suffer. That we will work for justice and liberation of all peoples. That we will uphold the dignity and equal worth of every human being, regardless of religion, nationality, ethnicity, race, or social status. That we will nurture future generations to become peacemakers who value dialogue, empathy, and respect over conflict and prejudice. That we recognize our shared responsibility to protect our common home and preserve it for future generations. We also acknowledge the enduring example set by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, whose life has demonstrated that genuine peace is achieved not through force, but through compassion, not through domination, but through understanding, and not through revenge, but through reparations and repairs. Today we pledge to continue building bridges across religions and cultural differences, working together in the service of humanity and for the common good. May our different traditions continue to illuminate the many paths that lead toward peace, while reminding us that we all share one human family. Together we affirm. May peace prevail in our hearts. May love always guide our actions. May compassion unite our communities. May justice uphold the dignity of every person. And may hope inspire future generations. And may our shared humanity always be greater than our differences. On this joyful occasion, we extend our heartfelt wishes to His Holiness the Dalai Lama for good health, long life, and the continued fulfillment of his compassionate mission for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Under the proclamation under the Kunazuki, Kene Tamjati, Jidang Kujokasin, Lalanya the Soroches, Lapso, and yes, and it was and the Kada, the Chulu Chamalapa, the Shena, and the Kunazuki, subject is Gap, and so the Karish Shuve, the Nalkarukers and the Kudugi, the Tuga Tamjashin, the Zodi, and the Shuri and the Gugi Tundi, Chamni, and the Chawameba. Dila did Doduk de Shishani, and a Kuraja Sami Mudu Yomaki, and Labado Kudu Golo Kuchu Gojila Pebble, and a Gadoki Modella, and it's Sameke, Chuluka Sameke, and it was a Kenish years, like a Takata proclamations in there, Tamjati Desration, and the Nalola Chuluka Tujaki, and the Tubi Sameke Senda Yovacha, and it's someone a copy the Shubia, the Shumukunazu Kubadra. And the rest in the Tatariki, Chulu, and Gugi under the Zajada to destroy the Shivaris to Jana. So that's for you.
도자나 정말 차수 좀 비슷하고 나 그러나 비슷하게 그렇지.
Immigrants have gone through. Most of us that are here are for a reason. We face hardships back home. We came here to the land of freedom and democracy, and we are doing our best to make sure that those democratic values someday will be in place in our first home country. But now we're all together. We are countrymates in America, and we have to work together towards peace and freedom for one another. As a human rights defender, I have deep respect for all religions. And it's very important that all of us can work together and make a better community. I really appreciate the culture. I love the songs, and it resonated with my, home country folklore of the region I come from. So in addition to all the other values, I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity to learn more about your culture. I fully support the cause, and I'm with you. Thank you very much.
도자나 정말로 차수하고 나 그러나 다 비젤이야 저 엘스리도 메어 가비 김조.
Next up, I would like to invite the Mayor of El Cerrito, Gabe Quinto. We'll be moving on. We have our next guest on the stage, Mayor Eduardo Martinez of Richmond.
I feel blessed to be here among you on this special day. As you all know, this is the 250th birthday of our nation.
Yes, sir.
July 4th. But even though we've been here for 250 years, we still have not the wisdom of the 14th Holy Dalai Lama with 91 years of experience. We have so much work to do, not just in our policies, but in our hearts, because our policies come from our hearts. And as soon as we can recognize peace within ourselves, then we can start projecting peace into the world. I have difficulties with our national anthem. Our national anthem glorifies victory, but through the act of war. The blues, soul, jazz musician Ray Charles suggested we adopt a new anthem. He suggested we adopt America the Beautiful, which reflects the America that we hope to become. It says, "Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesties, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. May God crown all of us with brotherhood and love, compassion." Thank you.
Tashi Dalek. As a county supervisor in Contra Costa, I want to first offer, on behalf of our over 1 million residents, a welcome and honor and respect to all of you, the Tibetan community, as we honor the 91st birthday of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I want to say we are so fortunate that in Contra Costa and Alameda counties and around the Bay Area, we have the third largest population of Tibetan refugees in the United States. You all make our community stronger and better. And I just want to say, I speak a lot with our health and human services staff at Contra Costa County, who've worked with many Tibetan immigrants over the years, and tell me they have experienced the wonderful values of Tibetan culture when they've worked to help support Tibetans as they enter our community. You know I see the Indian Consul General here because India has opened its doors to Tibetan refugees, and for a long time our country has opened its doors to refugees and immigrants, right? But there are people today in our government who want to close that door, and I know that our values say that we need to keep the door open to refugees and immigrants to this country. We know that is the right thing to do morally and from a human rights standpoint. And also it's the right thing to do to make our country stronger. And I say this as the proud son of an immigrant myself. So as we celebrate the Dalai Lama's birthday, we're really also celebrating his values. The values that he espouses and that he represents. And that there are other faiths here today who share those same values. And I appreciate the work in our community of all the faiths here today. And these are not just values in words, but the values of the Dalai Lama and Tibetan culture are everyday values. And I know many of us, I've personally seen those values in action. When I show up at the Tibetan Association's Community Center in Richmond on Sundays, I see this wonderful value of community, of Tibetan residents from around the Bay Area coming and being together and eating together and learning together and celebrating together. So thank you to the Tibetan Association of Northern California for holding those. I see the values of resiliency and compassion. And last December, before the holidays, there were about 25 Tibetan and Nepali families who were displaced from an apartment fire in El Cerrito. And I was working with some of the families on helping with housing. And I went to some of these homes where the first line of help came from other Tibetan families who welcomed those who were displaced into their house, often a crowded house, and fed them and helped support them. That compassion and resiliency was evident in their help for fellow neighbors. I've seen other values of compassion, and I've said this before. I see Nurse Tenzin here, who's the wife of your vice president. And I know she represents the values of compassion of so many Tibetan residents. She is a nurse at Kaiser Oakland, and she helped care for my son for 2 months in the hospital at Kaiser Oakland when he was suffering from a very serious life-threatening disease. Her compassion with him, with me, and with my son's family was evident in her work and what she did every day. And she represents many of you. Thank you, Nurse Tenzin. I've seen the value of culture, of maintaining Tibetan culture. And I've seen it in the Sunday school at the Tibetan Association Center, where again, hundreds of Tibetan residents from around the Bay Area come, and the young people are in classrooms learning Tibetan and Buddhist culture. I think it is so important to continue the cultures from where we came and those important values. So in seeing that, I wanted to announce that we recently had a grant process in my county office to distribute about $1 million in grants to improve equity, to improve people's health. And one of those grants, and working with the Tibetan Association, so we want to announce, is $50,000 to the Tibetan Association of Northern California to fix up classrooms, because some of those classrooms had leaks and were falling into disrepair, and so that $50,000 will get used towards fixing up those classrooms so you can continue to teach Tibetan culture to young people. And that's what that was about for equity. So finally I will say, I wear this shirt, which was given to me by a member of the Tibetan community out of respect to Tibetan culture, out of respect for you, and out of respect for what you do for all of us in Contra Costa, Alameda, California, and the United States. Thank you for making us stronger and better, and we will continue to fight to keep the door open, and one day a free Tibet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. This generous grant couldn't come on a better day than on this auspicious day in front of this August gathering here. Thank you so much, John. With this, we're going to be, as you said, we really need to fix up our community center, and we're going to be starting soon, I think by the end of this month. And although we did pay our mortgage last year, we are kind of now, the community center belongs to us. We're not quite there yet. We have our own challenges. We need to pay our own bills, runs to about, 4,000-5,000 a month. But you might be wondering as to how do we manage to get this money? Well, since 2014, when I was on board with some of our board members here, we initiated what we call the Community Cafe that we operate twice a month. It's every other Sunday. And through that, it has helped over the years pay up our mortgage, our bills, utilities. So we have our own challenges, and at this point in time. But this grant on this auspicious day is such a great blessing, and we would soon be starting the work within this. Of course, we've been in touch with 3 different contractors for the roof, and I kind of singled out with the board, singled out a contractor, and so we'll be starting that soon, right after the summer school ends sometime next week. 아니 나버솔 디슈야 제가 나버솔 마부대야 디케나 메나 지다 the Contra Costa ki ada supervisor John ki thari ada seta de ta tamsa ji re ta ma jo ki thunga de ni ta nimodila ma jo khasi 다 나머지 망부지 개교를 두고 지가게 먼저 조백이 손들들 다 좀좀들 패비나 먼저 이 토가 되어다 강바디 토들라 티베게 오래 다들이 티베게 게도 로 망부 쇼스 두고 오래 아니 그래 니마 프랑스 망부지 배전나샤 지 직접적이 아야다 지여봐 직 차례 망부지 나시기네 다 모두니 하듯